Welcome. My name is Ika Davis. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, boys, viewers, everybody, boys and girls. This is VOP TV. Do you know what that means? Voice of the People TV. You don't have a voice, don't come here. You better make sure your voice is heard.
To know the happenings in the maritime sector, join us on the program Maritime Frontiers on VOP TV as we discuss key areas in the maritime sector from aquaculture, maritime transportation, maritime labor regulation, oil and gas exploration, ferry and passenger insurance, marine pollution and prevention, port operations and lots more. Maritime Frontiers, exploring Nigeria's blue economy.
We encourage you to click on the like button and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are Voice of the People TV. Also follow us on all our social media platforms. We are at VOP TV Live. Visit our website www.vop.ng for fresh and trending news. Also watch us live on SLTV channel 264. VOP TV, Voice of the People Television.
VOP TV. Now, you have more than a voice.
It's another very beautiful day to be here to talk football on Locker Room. Welcome. My name is Ikechukwu Agbago, and this is the show where you get everything about football. Of course, it's going to be a very, very interesting show today. Last night, we witnessed goal thriller right there at Old Trafford. At the end of the day, it seems like no matter the result United actually come up with, will still be at the top of the table ahead of Liverpool. Again, another very big, interesting story brewing. Started yesterday, the Super Eagles. Will the Super Eagles eventually make it to the World Cup? Well, we'll hear from one of the NFF chiefs in the person of Dr. Mohammed Sanusi. Today, like I said, it's going to be lots to talk about. It's a packed show, and of course, I'll not be doing it alone. I'll be doing this in the midst of football most prized commentator. Carabao Cup joins in the studio. And of course, Maya will definitely be training those crosses virtually. Jerry, good evening and welcome to the
Yeah, good evening, Ikechukwu, and of course, good evening, football lovers. I know when they say the word, you can't shame the shameless. I think Man United stands for it. And of course, the fans are bearing that flag of you can't shame the shameless. It's unfortunate that after that draw, that you could actually say, in spite of all the struggles, they still turn out to get a 4-4 draw against who? Come on, I think it's really appalling that you could even start off with that. I think, anyway, set the tone anyway. It makes it more interesting because when we get to that part of the show, we'll know how to separate the big boys. Imagine, I would like to see Man United lose 6 games, or just 4 games on the stretch, and see what will happen. Relegation will come calling. And of course, I've told my wife, he was beating around the bush. He said, okay, that even though they win the trophy or finish ahead of Liverpool, I'm saying it here, today, December, I think today is 16th of December. That no matter, even if Liverpool lose 10 matches again this season, they will finish ahead of Manchester United come the month of May 2026.
My wife is exactly at Monday 16, and of course 16 days, gone in the month of December. Manchester United still on top of the log ahead of Liverpool. 22 games left to play.
On top of the log, it's like
welcome to Locker Room.
They're ahead of us now. That on top of the log, listen.
Welcome to Locker Room.
There's what it does to me on top of. What do you mean on top of the log?
Welcome to Locker Room.
Well, it's always amazing to be here. We will not mind anybody that's on the losing streak and struggle to win 2 games. That is popping up since. The bottom line is this: as of today, 16th of December, if the league ends today, Manchester United get more money than Liverpool. Top Manchester United first, then we can have a conversation. As far as I'm concerned, United is better than Liverpool. But in any case, don't let us dwell into the banter. I get to banter Jerry much later. It's always amazing to be here. A whole lot of more to talk about.
And of course, for our viewers out there, you can definitely be part of the show. All you need to do is to leave us a comment on our YouTube platform, or you can actually pick up the number beaming on your screen, and then give us a call so you can actually drop your comment. Of course, do not also forget to like, share, and subscribe this particular show. And most importantly, hit the notification bell so you don't get to miss another episode of The Locker Room. Welcome once again. If you are just being part of the show for the very first time, welcome to the family. Yes, let's get into the thick of it. Like they say, charity begins at home. And this one concerns the World Cup. Of course, yesterday, the news broke. Jerry actually broke the news when he was saying that there seemed to be a light at the end of the tunnel for the Super Eagles going to the World Cup that will be hosted in North America, talking about Mexico, Canada, and the United States of America. The story is that DR Congo actually fielded players who are deemed ineligible according to their local laws, to be part of the game that actually earned them the ticket to represent Africa in the intercontinental playoff. But of course, now it's becoming a very big issue. First of all, the story actually started with Cameroon. They actually the first to actually lodge a campaign. But of course, Nigeria, when matters like this come, Nigeria actually dominate the space and set the agenda. The General Secretary of the Nigerian Football Federation, Dr. Mohamed Sanusi, has confirmed that a formal protest was submitted to FIFA regarding the eligibility of DR Congo players who participated in the World Cup qualifiers. As reported previously, the NFF protest concerned 6 players from DR Congo who played in the playoff final, where they defeated Nigeria to secure a spot in the next intercontinental playoff in Mexico. In this statement, Dr. Sanusi noted that the DR Congo's Football Association misled FIFA during this clearance process for these players. FIFA was deceived, according to him, to clearing players who are deemed ineligible according to Congolese domestic law. Sanusi stated that DR Congo law does not permit dual citizenship, yet some of the players involved actually hold national international passports for 2 countries. Of course, holding, for example, one of the players he actually highlighted was former Manchester United player in the person of Aaron Wan-Bissaka. And it's not FIFA's duty, though, to actually look into a country's domestic law. But of course, it is a case now, and it is what it is at this point. Let's get to hear from the man himself, Mohamed Sanusi, about what the issue is before I bring Jerry and of course Maya to help us understand the context as we speak.
6 months. Okay. There are players that got theirs in just 2-3 months. Okay. So that is to us what we consider as a breach of that regulation. Okay. And that was why we submitted that.
So what is the hope of Nigerians now? Okay. Because some people are already on the street to believe that
we are waiting. You heard what I told you. The Congolese rule says you cannot have a dual nationality. Wan-Bissaka has a European passport. There are so many of them that have European passport. Some of them French passport. Some of them Dutch passport. So the rules are very clear. We cannot say anything now, but we have submitted our
Some are saying FIFA rule is different from DR Congo.
It's different from DR Congo. That's why FIFA cleared them. FIFA regulation says once you have a passport of your country, you are eligible.
Yes.
Now, as far as people are concerned, they are eligible. That's why they are cleared by FIFA. But our contention is FIFA was deceived into clearing them, because it is not the responsibility of FIFA to make sure that regulations of Congo are being abided by. The FIFA goes by its own regulations, and it was on the basis of what was presented to FIFA, it was on that basis that FIFA declared them. But we are saying it was fraudulent. 6 months. Okay.
I mean, we've heard it from the NFF chief, Jerry. I mean, the whole story actually started yesterday. You started it first where you said, there might be some sort of hope. And I saw you, cheering and smiling like a cha-cha cat when you got to the office today, talking about how the chance of the Super Eagles might actually be open going to the Mundial next year. Make us understand, all of this. I mean, walk us through what's actually going on, with CAF, with FIFA, and of course with Nigeria and the DR Congo. Of course, Cameroon also somewhere actually are locking in all of this. I mean, these are the teams that most likely benefit if the DR Congo goes down. So help us understand what's going on.
Yeah, so it goes like this, It's good that, we might say the NFF, the Super Eagles, did not really show good performance in terms of being to qualify for the World Cup. But we must also look at fair play. And if you're going to do a game of football, once there's undue advantage to one person or the other, it surely takes away fair play. It takes away the beauty of the game. I, for one, was not happy with the fact that South Africa found a way to manipulate our group to make sure that somehow, no matter what happens, South Africa was going to qualify from that group to the World Cup. And in spite of that, somehow Nigeria still found a way to be the part of the playoff. That shows that it looks like Nigerians' part of the World Cup is inevitable. Whether any man born by a woman wants to stop it, it's like it's not going to happen. Because how do you say that? How do you beat that? This is a team that had issues with coaches. They have been struggling with draws. This is a team that South Africa manipulated their group to their own advantage. This is a team that somehow escaped by the teeth against Benin Republic to be a part of the playoffs. And now, somehow, they lost to DR Congo after Osimhen picked up an injury. Whether you like it or not, it's still Osimhen FC. Yeah, that's also one of the setbacks of the team. And still yet, it's been found out that DR Congo played that game with 9. Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5. That's almost the whole team. Just 2 players left out who were eligible to persecute that game. So that's on the advantage. Yeah, fine. What you have to do is to make sure that these players are cleared. But deceiving FIFA, that's a big issue.
But Jerry, I'm trying to understand where the word deceit came from. According to FIFA rule, you have to show that you are eligible to play for a country. Yeah. And what it means is that you are a citizen of that country.
Yeah. For DR Congo as a country, they don't accept dual citizenship. You either forfeit the citizenship of the country you're coming from and accept to be a DR Congo citizen, then you are fresh as a DR Congo.
But Jerry, wait.
So, but these players were still having their citizenship from the country they switched from. But they've not been cleared to switch from that country as a DR Congo. That's a DR Congo law.
They've not renounced.
Yes, they've not renounced their citizenship to those countries. And DR Congo did not tell FIFA that these players, they are still holding their former citizenship.
But Jerry, when they defeated the Super Eagles, they were given a heroic welcome. The president of the country, everybody actually, came around. And if that could happen, it means that, these guys have actually formally been accepted into the group, which means they are proud. They are proud of them as citizens.
We've seen presidents and governors win elections on the ballots, and the court says that is not the election was not won, was not free and fair. That's the situation here. Yes, DR Congo has won. The president has come out.
But Jerry, how does that concern? FIFA? Because now FIFA has looked.
FIFA has a status, has a clause in their status that makes sure that when it comes to eligibility of players, they look at the rule of the country they are coming from. They regard that. That's a very, very key factor. That player must have cleared all the rules and regulations of that country.
But if they've not cleared, Jerry, why do you think they will be having the passport of DR Congo? If they've not cleared?
They've cleared. That means DR has not been infected. They did not make sure that those players have scrapped their citizenship of those countries before telling FIFA that they have been cleared. What their responsibility is to make sure that their rules, the rules of the country were obeyed before clearing them and telling the FIFA we've cleared them. But FIFA will not go into your status and find out that you did not follow your own rules. You just used the back door. FIFA frowns at that. It's a big issue. And that is why DR Congo is going to be facing it. And of course, the Super Eagles will be going to the World Cup in Canada, USA, and and Mexico.
We'll still come back to that, Jerry.
Yeah.
I mean, you also remember that Cameroon is also part of this whole mix. They actually started this.
Cameroon will have to fight their fights. Let's leave Cameroon and let's talk about Nigeria.
Well, Maiwa, the DR Congo law states that if a player, a foreign-born national, decides to play for DR Congo before he turns 21, there is no need for him to actually switch any allegiance because, of course, the law covers him. But if it's over 21, it means the person has to renounce his nationality of the previous officer, country of birth, to become a full citizen. Now, in this case, these guys actually have been issued passport of DR Congo. I mean, the CAF have communicated. I mean, the FA of DR Congo have communicated to CAF that these guys are actually our players, and they've done the job for them. Why are we taking them back? Is there a conflict? Should there be a conflict between a country's law and the FIFA rule book? Because I mean, we are playing the FIFA organized tournament, and if FIFA has agreed that these guys are actually eligible to play, why are we looking at what their country law says?
Well, I want to correct me if I'm wrong. Wan-Bissaka is one of the oldest players who have switched his allegiance.
Yes, he's 26.
Since when?
26.
That's something. What I'm saying is one of.
Yes, it's one of them. It's one of them. Yes, and he's 26 years.
That has switched allegiance from England to DR Congo.
Yes.
If I'm not mistaken, has been playing for DR Congo now for 3 years. If I'm not mistaken, and one of the person the NFF guys quoted is Wan-Bissaka and the rest of that. The bottom line is this: yes, FIFA said for you to be able to play for another country, you have to present a passport of that country. Right, that is the bottom line of the laws, the rules from FIFA, and these people are able to produce this. Wan-Bissaka, who this person claimed he seems to be the most famous amongst them, has been playing for DR Congo for over 3 years. Are we saying Wan-Bissaka is not clear? As far as I'm concerned, all these Hail Mary that we want to do to qualify for the World Cup is just NFF trying to save face. The bottom line is we didn't do well, and we don't have to be in the World Cup, even if DR Congo is banished and disqualified for whatever technicality. We do not deserve to be at the World Cup. It will be a great injustice to those that are actually prepared to be at the World Cup, because the NFF did a whole lot of wrong things. However, the rules are the rules. I'm a big fan of the rules, you should follow the rules. Another thing we should also find out is this: as DR Congo, do we have an idea if DR Congo already changed their law? Do we have an idea of that? Is it?
Yes, there's an idea of that. They've not changed the law. The law still stands even as we speak. The law still stands in DR Congo.
When I say change their law, sometimes in some of these African countries they have this special exception that they give and the president gives and the rest of that. Are we sure that is not the case?
No, they've not done a gazette to that. If not, DR Congo would have released the information that they did that.
Players.
Well, the information. The question you asked, the information I have as regards that particular question, if DR Congo has actually amended their law, I think for athletes, right, there's an exception for them. Truly, there's this sort of they give them this leverage because you're an athlete. You can actually go represent the country without actually formally renouncing your order. But in this case, I don't know.
There's no written law. It's just maybe word of mouth agreement.
Well,
paddy arrangement.
No,
that's why Africa will not get it right. That's why just African countries will just do handshake and just go and participate. They don't know it's more to that. We're talking about the FIFA World Cup. Anyway, they've never been to the World Cup. They don't understand what's at stake. Maybe they took all those things for levity and decided we can do that since we have been getting away with it. Unfortunately, sorry, DR Congo. This time around, everybody's watching.
So my go on.
Face the book.
Well, they've been there before. They were there at Zaire. They were at the World Cup at Zaire.
I think in 1974. In 1974, yes.
Not as DR Congo.
In fact, at that point, they were actually the best team in Africa.
Yeah.
You recall that they won the Nations Cup.
Yeah. However, the reason why I asked the question is this, because I know that there are some countries that give exception to talent. I'll give you a typical example. Qatar, for example, before you can become a citizen, you have to spend at least 25 years before they consider citizenship for you. However, if you're an athlete and you have special talent that they need, they waive it for you. And that is not written down. It's just a waiver from, the kingdom there. So that's the reason why I asked. I hope there is no waiver from the president, because in this other countries, they give the president power over the constitution. I hope there is no waiver like that. If there is no waiver like that, then we have a genuine case to pursue. Even though I don't like it, I feel we should not be doing that. If there's no waiver like that, then we have a genuine case to pursue. But if there's a waiver like that, I think we are not going to work on.
Well, first off, before I ask you the question, first off, this is one Bissaka's first, this year is the first time he's actually playing for DR Congo. I mean, the first time he played for DR Congo was in June in 2025, so he's not been playing for DR Congo. And it's the fact that for a long time.
Players who are linked to Man United are also involved. Transimbe is also involved.
Well, Jerry.
United and Uru, they are like 5 and 6. Well, let's not go into that.
But Maiwa, now if this happens, that in the end, DR Congo will be stripped. DR Congo is stripped off, this particular ticket. Is it going to be the Super Eagles that will be going to the World Cup, or Cameroon? Because Cameroon actually started this, saying that ineligible players actually played against them. If you recall the case of Teboho Mokoena, when the 3 points was deducted, it wasn't added to the Super Eagles, it was given to Lesotho. No. So, I mean, if it happens that happens, what are we looking at? Is it the Super Eagles, since, Cameroon already lost? Will FIFA assume that Cameroon got to the final and lose to Nigeria, who eventually will be going to the World Cup? Or will there be a playoff between Nigeria and Cameroon? Or will Cameroon eventually actually take it, since they lost to DR Congo, and then DR Congo went on to actually defeat Nigeria? Would they actually, pick the ticket as per forfeiture, since they actually, the eventual winners actually defeated them? I mean, help us understand this whole scenario.
Well, whatever Cameroon is fighting for favors Nigeria, because DR Congo played Nigeria in the final, and that's the deciding match that leads to anybody qualifying to the playoff. However, is this because of the forfeiture? I mean, if they are talking about forfeiture, you first of all look at the game against Cameroon. So what will probably happen is Nigeria Cameroon plays another playoff, then that will probably determine the final person that will qualify. However, if they are not going to do that, Nigeria qualify automatically.
But Jerry, which will you prefer? Nigeria play Cameroon, or Nigeria just get the tickets?
I don't think FIFA will have time for all of that.
I mean, the intercontinental playoff is still very much a match, so why wouldn't they have time?
Yeah, they should just consider the final. Those who play in the final, DR Congo is. DR Congo.
Are you afraid of Cameroon? You are afraid of Mbeumo.
See,
you're afraid of Mbeumo.
As far as Onana is concerned, how would I be afraid? When Onana is available.
Onana is not part of the Cameroon squad.
He will be available. Don't worry. I don't. I don't have Cameroon. I always prefer Cameroon over DR Congo anyway. But I think not to stress our players who must have been back from the AFCON playing their club sides and wasting another time to prepare another game against Cameroon. I think the onus boils down on FIFA to take the decision anyway. I don't want to preempt them. They should take the best decision. But at the end of the day, I think allowing Nigeria to just go into all the playoffs, because let's not forget, it's not like even if Nigeria is allowed to take the African spot, they should give it to, they should be able to at least beat the other Jamaica if they make it through. Then they now say they are going to World Cup, because there's still one hurdle to cross. It's still not at Huru.
Well, this whole scenario is actually beginning to look like, I remember Euro 96, where Denmark actually failed to qualify. Yugoslavia, qualified automatically, and eventually, somehow, because of the war in 92, Yugoslavia were actually, banned from the championship. Denmark came after their players have already gone party. They came back to be part of the championship. They became the eventual winners of the World Cup. Are we seeing the Super Eagles, if eventually we make it to the World Cup through this on unusual road, getting to the World Cup semi-finals for every World Cup final?
This is the 1970s now. This team winning World Cup. Which of the World Cup? This World Cup that Portugal is. this Portugal is already the team they are proposing to win it. So World Cup is not like before, where it's straight like this. A lot of things are involved. I don't think Nigeria going there, yes, because let's not forget, Nigeria has a large population in the US, and of course Canada. Imagine the revenue it brings to FIFA if Nigeria goes to that kind of a World Cup. So a lot needs to be considered. For DR Congo, for their games, how many attention are they going to create? For instance, if you are FIFA, and look at the business angle and the fact that the law is already showing that Nigeria should be going, who would you consider? Would you waste your strength on playing Cameroon?
Wow.
What's Cameroon going to give them at the World Cup ahead of Nigeria? Come on, this is the biggest team in Africa as far as marketability is concerned. Unfortunately, the NFF is always missing the opportunities they are supposed to be getting from having the Super Eagles play at the World Cup.
Okay, Jerry. So still talking about DR Congo, something just came into my mind now. There's this news going around about Vincent Company saying that he would love DR Congo to actually win the AFCON. Of course, we are very much a week from the AFCON officially starting. No, a week from the Super Eagles actually playing our first game. 5 days from the AFCON officially starting.
Yeah.
By this time next week, we'll be playing our very first game in the AFCON. Now, Vincent Company is saying that he really loved DR Congo to actually go all the way to pick up the AFCON. Do you see DR Congo actually picking up the AFCON?
Yeah, if wishes were horses, DR Congo can win the World Cup.
I'm not talking about World Cup. I mean AFCON. AFCON.
Yeah, AFCON. Yeah, I can wake up in the morning and say...
So you don't see them on the strength of what they did against Super Eagles as a team that can...
What strength? Come on. DR Congo, we'll start seeing them when the cracks start happening. It's not that DR Congo side. They're not that fantastic. There is a decent side. They're not the side that blows anybody away, as far as I'm concerned. And of course, we saw that game. When Osimhen was on the pitch, we'll see the frenzy among the defense. It was not like they were a fantastic side. They all struggled and made it to the pen. It was via penalties they beat the Super Eagles. So if they meet a side that's as strong as the Super Eagles and able to convert their chances, that doesn't have only Osimhen as the poacher, they will be able to defeat that DR Congo side. They're not that fantastic.
Maiwa, in 1974, like we already established, DR Congo actually won the Nations Cup. And before that particular Nations Cup that they won, the best defender and the best player in Africa at the point was actually a defender from DR Congo in the person of Simon Bwenga. That guy actually went on, to actually lead DR Congo to actually win, their AFCON. And that AFCON was held in North Africa. I'm talking about Egypt precisely. Now we are going back to North Africa. I mean, over 51 years after, we're going back to North Africa. DR Congo still very much in the mix. And of course, are we going to see the spirit of Ndaye Lumumba actually leading this DR Congo side to actually pick up, the AFCON? As, Vincent Company said, of course, he's actually a DR Congo national by, origin. So tell me, do you see them? I mean, looking at what you actually saw during the playoff, going all the way to pick up the AFCON.
Well, since we are talking about, eligibility, are we sure they will not strip them of the Nations Cup? Because I mean, if this saga continues, then it means they are going to play players from that country who are ineligible to participate. So I mean, that same rules apply. So, but in any case, if we are looking past the eligibility issue, and probably let's say that is just a Nigerian scam in quote now, I think the DR side, they have a decent enough team to be able to do it. I want to disagree with Jerry that says, they are not, yes, they are not, they don't have the arrays of stars that, Nigeria possesses. However, the synergy in the team is what matters. If you look at how they played throughout their qualifying stage, I think they only missed out of the actual qualifier with just 2 points. If I'm not mistaken, that's how good that team was. And if you look at what they did in the playoff, they were very exceptional. Yes, they didn't beat Cameroon exceptionally. They had to rely on last week because in that particular game, they should have Cameroon away. They were just fortunate that they didn't score goals. If they continue with the way they play, I think with how decent they are, I will not be surprised to get to the finals, to be honest with you.
Of course, let's move away from the DR Congo story and talk about the Super Eagles. The camp of the Super Eagles, as last count, has swelled to 24-man team in that particular camp. And yes, all eyes on the game against the Pharaohs of Egypt later today, exactly 7 p.m. at Nigeria time against the Pharaohs of Egypt. A lot has been said, and of course, one man is going to be between the sticks. His name is Francis Uzoho. He's definitely going to be starting for the Super Eagles in this pre-AFCON friendly. Jerry, I mean, how much of a confidence do you have in this man, Francis Uzoho, standing between the stick for the Super Eagles against Pharaohs of Egypt? 7 p.m. tonight. Tell me what's your expectation for this particular match? What's going to be your yardstick for a good team, against this Pharaohs of Egypt side? Is it about the win? Is it about how they play? What exactly are you looking at to say, okay, I think we have a team that is ready to actually compete?
Yeah, Francis Uzor. If Francis Uzor is not going to start against Tanzania, it's going to be a waste of slot ahead of the game against Tanzania. But if there's a plan that is going to start because Nwabali is not 100% fit, then it's a good test for us to see what Uzor has. And I think Uzor now has as many minutes he has in that game to prove to Nigerians that he is the real deal. He can do it when Nwabali is not available, because a lot of Nigerians have lost faith in Nwabali's quality. The fact that he's playing an Oscar League in Cyprus, which he has failed to leave. And I think is one thing about Nigerian goalkeepers. Since the days of Vincent Tuyama, we don't have our goalkeepers being looked for by big club sides. And the fact that we have one now, and he's not a mainstay in the Super Eagles, makes me worried as well. Talking about Maduka Okoye, he plays for Udinese, for crying out loud. And for a goalkeeper to be number one in the Italian Serie A for a decent side like Udinese, and he's not in the national team, it makes me worried. And now that we have Francis Uzor, now we're in a situation where we're going to be praying for 90 minutes if he's on the pitch against Tanzania. That is, if he doesn't do well. But if he does well against an Egyptian side, a North African side, fast, pacey, they can hit you on the break, they can pull up surprises with shots outside the box, they are highly technical. If Uzor is able to hold his own against this team, then Nigerians will have a different opinion about him. So it's not left for him to make Nigerians decide what they expect to see from him eventually if he's going to start ahead of Stanley Nwabali. And I think players like Stanley Nwabali will hope that he even does not do well, so that the coach will have no choice than to start him against Tanzania. So and the fact that he's going to be having as much as 11 players to change. Talking about Rachel. So I will expect him to use as many players he has available, but don't change the chemistry, don't change the language of the team. Let the team still be able to have a pattern, a direction, a style. Not what we saw where he beat Rwanda today. Tomorrow, we are seeing another team playing against South Africa. It looks like you do well today, you set up yourself to fail. Like I said, doing the overthinking like Pep Guardiola was doing at a point in time. So I don't want to see a lot of formation. Talking about the setup of the team. And the fact that he's bringing a lot of young players, a lot of new players to the team, you'll be tempted to play the likes of Akin Samiro, the Nandi of this world, the Salim Fago of this world. And we hear that Victor Osimhen is still not yet in the camp. So we're going to be seeing a lot of players who want to prove themselves. And let's not be deceived. Players might do well in friendlies, but when it comes to game days, because now attention is not on them, the frenzy, the tension, and so on, they might start to falter. That's one thing Uzor has. He doesn't have this composure when it comes to big games. The last time I saw him compose was the game against Manchester United. Maybe because Manchester United is not a big side, but he saw Ronaldo and was willing to show that he's a top quality goalkeeper. I wish I could see that kind of performance from Uzor, because he's a goalkeeper that has the quality. Unfortunately, he has confidence issues, and that is why Eritrea has a lot of responsibility to pass confidence onto him ahead of the Nations Cup.
Ahead of the Nations Cup, we are looking at the game against Egypt later tonight. And of course, two players, Tochukwu Nnadi and Ryan Alebiosu, have been talking. They said exactly they are so surprised. They weren't actually expecting to be part of the Super Eagles setup at this particular time, because this particular Super Eagles, they felt that, it's not their time. But somehow, so good, they've gotten into the Super Eagles. Now, where does this leave us? Looking at the setup of the team, how would you like Eritrea to actually set up his team from the back line to the midfield against the Pharaohs of Egypt?
This is an opportunity for, Aminadi in the middle, Rian Alebiosu to show what they can do. I'm hoping Salah is around to play at least 90 minutes, since he has not been able to, play 90 minutes under and slot this season. But in any case, against the Egyptian side, majority of the new guys, this is an opportunity to be able to test them, to see what they can do about, against a full opposition. And the same who has been part of the team for a very long time. It's an opportunity for him to prove himself, to show us that he can be the number one for this particular Nations Cup. And majority of new guys, it's the time for them to show themselves. I remember when Benjamin Frederick got the opportunity to be able to be part of the Unity Cup. his performance there, led the way for him to be able to be an integral part of the national team. So this is an opportunity for Alebiosu, Uzoho, and Inadi and the likes of them, depending on how many of the new guys will be featured tonight. This opportunity for them to be able to show how important they will be for the team. I'm looking forward to how they will play. It's going to be a test of, if they're able to withstand the pressure, if they'll be able to fit into the team. So, and I knew for us to see exactly what they can do. So I'm looking forward to it, and I'm hoping, the guys really do it. Because, if you watch Rian Alebiosu for Blackburn, he has been a beast for them, or especially handling the right back. I'm hoping to see do the same tonight.
Of course, let's take a look at the list of the players in the camp of the Super Eagles as we speak. Francis Uzoho, Stanley Nwabali, Fisayo Dele Bashiru, Ebenezer Akinsamiro, Amas Obasaje, Shemi Ajayi, Ademola Lookman, Bright Oshaye Samuel, Igo Ogbu, Tochukwu Nnadi, Raphael Onyedika, Zaidu Sanusi, Paul Onuachu, Frank Onyeka, Calvin Bassi, Alex Iwobi, Wilfred Ndidi, Bruno Onyemechi, Cyril Desas, Ako Adams, and Chidera Ojuke. Jerry, as a last count, Big Paul was said to have arrived camp. I'm talking about none other than Paul Onuachu. Do you see him leading the lines against the first of Egypt tonight? Or you want to see a resurgence Cyril Desas, who has actually not really shown what he's got? Can we actually use this as a test match for him to actually show us, that in the absence of Big Paul and, of course, Victor Osimhen, he's capable of actually helping the Super Eagles get on where we actually need him the most?
Now that the real Victor is not yet available, and alongside Samuel Chukwueze, that means we might see him fancy a 4-4-2. So that means Paul Onuachu and Cyril Desas, I don't know if that will work. But Cyril Desas is more or less, he likes to put the ball on the ground. So Moses Simon, maybe, alongside Iwobi. Then there's also Ademola Lookman, which is also a very good option. So I think Paul Onuachu starting is going to change a lot of things, because they will need players who can distribute the ball from the wings and also lay the passes on the ground. He's mostly good on the air. So Eric Chell will have to consider that. Then there's the talk about Ako Adams is faster, more technical, and maybe Ako Adams and Cyril Desas starting. Then Paul Onuachu can come in the next 45 minutes to show what he has. So there will be a lot of formation change in the attack.
But don't you think Ako Adams and what's his name? Cyril Desas are like-for-like strikers. They are almost the same thing. They are classic forwards, and this Paul Onuachu is a traditional old number 9. One tall, one short. I think it's going to really complement each other.
The difference I see in Ako Adams and Cyril Desas' game is that Cyril Desas is comfortable staying in the box, But for Ako Adams, he likes to spread himself, make himself available for balls, and he's still hungry. But Cyril Desas is more or less a professional, more or less composed in terms of he understands what to expect of him. When the ball gets into the box, he knows what to do about it. So I think if Ako Adams be behind him, because Cyril Desas definitely is a good, very great poacher, unlike Ako Adams, who more or less still has a lot to think about before placing the ball in the 18 at the back of the net. So I think they can play together. But for Paul Onuachu, I don't know how it's going to look like him playing with Ako Adams, who is somehow not really convincing in terms of pace.
What about Cyril Desas?
With Cyril Desas, yeah,
Ako Adams
it's going to be difficult too, because they like to stay in the box, the both of them.
But Jerry, you recall that at some point, AC Milan used to have a certain Filippo Inzaghi, who is a master, sitting
master
right
finisher.
There, master finisher. You call him fox in the box, just like what Cyril Desas is. And of course, they also play, other players alongside him. The likes of Shevchenko play alongside him. They find a way to actually, complement each other. If that can actually work, shouldn't we be expecting Eric Chell to actually find, something in the Big Paul's strength to help him actually complement Cyril Desas?
Yeah, that's now the responsibility of Eric Chell, because he's paid so much to do that. So I will expect him to deal with that headache right now, because if you look at the team, I think we have a lot of strikers who more or less look alike. And the issue with Paul Onuachu all the time is who's going to play behind him, who's going to feed him the ball, because he's not a player that can really drop back and assist in terms of drag the ball to the 18 box and score. So it's going to be a lot of responsibility on the wingers and the midfielder, which we don't really have. Maybe if Akin Samir is going to start, then maybe we can see whether he can feed Onuachu the ball. Then the wingers, I'd like to see maybe Salim Fago and bring in the young guys. Since the old guys have not really given Paul Onuachu what he wants, Maybe the young guys can be given the instruction, feed on Nacho with the ball, and let's see what he's going to do with it.
Mayowa, the late legendary Rashidi Yekini, is not the best of players when it comes to dropping to the midfield to get the ball, but we know that when it gets to the final third where he has to finish, do his job, he does it perfectly. Now, it's all about how the likes of Sunday Ogochukwu Elisa, JJ Okocha, Samson Siasia were able to actually, look for him with those pocket passes. What exactly do you think Eric Schell should do to bring out the very best of Paul Onachi for the national team? We've seen him. I mean, he did it. He was actually the best player in Belgium before he made that big move to Premier League. And of course, he actually did struggle and went to Turkey. Now he's rediscovered his form. He showed that, yes, under certain system, he's definitely going to really play very well. What should Eric Schell do to ensure that Nigeria reap the fruits of the Onuachu's ability as a player?
I think Paul Onachi in this case, his performance brought him to the team. However, the only thing is this: a striker is as good as the supply he gets. We know if the supply comes, what he has shown playing in the Turkish league, he can score goals and even score spectacular goals. What is that? The people playing behind him, that is your Iwobis and the likes of them. They need to feed him with the ball. If he gets with the ball properly, definitely he's going to score goals. I mean, most of the time, the previous time he has played for Nigeria, I'm not trying to hold brief for him, but however we can see it, the way he moves, the way he does in the 18, if we don't serve him the ball, he becomes an ineffective player, and that's why sometimes he looks back sometimes. It's always staying. So, the last Nation Cup, we got to the final. Was prepared. That was the reason why Osimhen served with the ball, and he only scored one goal in that particular tournament. So,
Mayowa, we can barely hear you. It seems there's a network. Your network. Yeah. So Jerry, we look at the defense right now. Mayowa, we can barely hear you. The network seems to be on and off, and when we get that fixed, we'll definitely get back to you. Jerry, look at the defense line, right? From me, right, I think that at this point, Eric Schell should actually look beyond, players who have been playing regularly. I want to see Kevin Bassey relax. I want to see Shemi Ajayi relax. But then, in the absence of all of that, what do you think? Who do you expect to actually, set the lines, lead the lines for the back four for the Super Eagles? If Eric Schell has to go for a back four, but if he decides to play back three, I don't know. Who do you expect to actually lead the back line for the Super Eagles against the Pharaohs of Egypt tonight?
Yeah, there's been a lot of talk about Igor Ogbu. We saw him at the Unity Cup, and of course the game against Russia. So I would like to see more of him in the game against the technical side. And I also don't want us to push aside the opportunity of knowing our first team and how fit, how strong, how coordinated they are. From what we saw against DR Congo, we want to look past all of that. Definitely, they've been talk that, okay, yes, they've been consistent with the side. Let's not forget, Shemi Ajayi has been out of the team for a while. He's just been playing pit part role, and his relationship with Kevin Bassey is not yet solid like it was at the last AFCON. So I would like that partnership to be made more solid. So I will not be worried if Shemi Ajayi and Kevin Bassey starts this one. Then in the second half, you can bring in the likes of Chidozie Awase and Igor Ogbu. Yeah, I wouldn't mind that. That means if they had maybe won the game, or they are not being pegged back by a goal to nil or 2 goals and they search for a goal, or they want to make sure that they solidify the defense, maybe take one of the players who's not fit, who's tired, and add one more to what's at the back line. I'll also hear that Ryan Ali-Belsu can also contribute in terms of the center-back pairing. He's also a good right back. That's also a good one. But you cannot say that for the likes of Bright Oshayi Samuel and Bruno Oyemachi. They are mostly just full back. And of course, Zaidu Sanusi as well. So that defense lineup, I want to see good experiment that makes a whole lot of sense. Not experiment just because you want to see this player and see what he can contribute to the team. So it has to make sense because this is an Egypt game. And let's not forget, we have to play Tunisia. in the same group.
All right, so away from that, let's talk about something that Manchester United legend Wayne Rooney is saying, if it actually does make sense, considering the way the Premier League table is beginning to reshape itself after match day 16. Wayne Rooney, Manchester United legend, believes Arsenal remains his top pick to win the Premier League title this season, currently sitting top of the log after match day 16 with 2 points. Of course, Manchester City breathing down the neck of Arsenal as usual. This is exactly Manchester City's preferred position to always be. But then when Rooney is still saying that, in spite of all that's happened, Manchester United, Arsenal is his top pick to actually pick up the Premier League title with all they've done in the past 3 seasons. But before we go deep into this particular story when Rooney is actually talking about Arsenal's chance of winning the Premier League, of course you recall that last night Madison 16 actually came into conclusion when there was 8-goal thriller right there at the Old Trafford. Manchester United actually came. It was actually a very interesting game. Back and forth. It felt like basketball at some point. Both teams finding the back of the net. But then all of this put together, let's talk about this and also what happened yesterday and what is your expectation for the Premier League come May, following what Rooney said. Is Arsenal going to really pick up the Premier League title?
Yeah, it's difficult to say now because there are going to be a lot of games to look forward to this December period. Boxing Day games, and they're still busy in the League Cup. And of course, they're still busy in the Champions League. And though they're looking very good as far as that one is concerned. And the backlog of injury worries. Arsenal has proven to be a side that when they have backlog of injuries, they seem to struggle. We've already seen that crack against Aston Villa, which is not really a good one. Teams are beginning to know that they can still beat this Arsenal side. The last few games have proven that there's problem. There's fire on the mountain. So if you now pack them up with a lot of games, so a lot of cracks, big questions will be asked about this Arsenal side. And it's going to be a difficult one to put your money on this Arsenal side. That's just how many points away from Manchester City. And this is the best time for Man City. Because right now, their players are coming back. The players, Phil Foden is on form. Haaland is firing again. And even if Mamouche goes to the World Cup, they're not going to miss him. Other players, even I'm seeing Ruben Diaz is suddenly on form. Doku is not having mercy on defenders at the moment. So everything is working together for good for Manchester City and not together for good for Mikel Arteta's side. I think I'm beginning to see some bit of frustration on the part of Mikel Arteta. And when you're frustrated and you're agitated, you are anxious, you start making some few mistakes. And that is not a situation Arsenal fans will want to see Mikel Arteta under. And of course, let's not forget, City's on the way. And City's not going to have mercy against Arsenal when they meet, eventually. So that game will decide whether Arsenal is ready to win this league. But as far as I'm concerned, just some weeks ago, they were looking very good, sitting pretty on the table. And now it's just 2 points. Even Aston Villa is even having the boldness to say they can contest for the league. It's just that Arsenal's already lost it. It's just one leg in, one leg out.
For you, one leg in, one leg out. At this point, is Arsenal still very much your top pick? According to Wayne Rooney, he says Arsenal is his preferred pick to actually pick up the Premier League title. Do you actually see Arsenal picking up the Premier League at the end of the season with the way they're actually performing? Very well depleted side. They've lost a lot of players due to injury, yet they still managed to actually get this result. They cracked one against Wolves. And of course, it was a very difficult night. A lot of persons were expecting Wolves to be whipped out. But if you look at Arsenal, the back four are struggling with lots of injuries. And of course, even in the attacks, a lot of players are actually struggling with injuries. But then they managed to actually get that result. Of course, they'll be playing in a few days' time also in the Carabao Cup. And then it's also going to be a very, very long one, in December, how fixtures can actually be cumbersome. Look at Arsenal. And of course, you still believe they would definitely pick up the title, according to Wayne Rooney.
4 points. That's when I believe they will win. They are just one game away from losing the title. I mean, they would have lost the title against Wolves. How do you play against Wolves that way? The thing is they are struggling with confidence. They scored that goal in the 70th minute, and they started defending and gave Wolves all the initiative, and that was what led to the equalizer by our own Tolu Arukudare. I think and Jai is very right. Ateta is getting agitated. The confidence is shaking. A whole lot of their players are, they are not back, and the performance is dropping. Look at the last 3 games they played in the EPL. Look at the last 3 games they've been struggling. Even the game against Wolves, they were just unfortunate. They were fortunate that there was an own goal, and that was why they won that particular game. As far as I'm concerned, I think City overtakes them before the end of December because I don't see this performance improving anytime soon.
But Mawa, I mean, we've seen Arsenal, in the last couple of seasons. At this particular stage of the season, they already, they definitely would have lost, the lead at this point because of the number of players they've lost. But this time they managed to actually put themselves in a position where, even in the Champions League, they're doing pretty good. Maybe there seems to be something Arteta has really done to actually, change this particular team. Granting a result is part of what makes a very strong team. And do you think Arsenal have the character now, leading? I mean, if they come back if the rest of their players come back, it means it's going to be a smooth sail. So if they manage to actually crack these results all through, keeping the lead until these top players start coming back, I mean, aren't we going to say they're definitely going to pick up the league at the end of May?
Well, the big question is this: with the way they are playing, can they sustain the momentum? The answer is no. If you look at the way Man City is playing, there's the momentum building with Man City. And I will not be surprised if Man City goes on a 15-game unbeaten run. Can Arsenal do it? I don't think so. The way Arsenal is playing at the moment is just a matter of time before the reach point. So for me, I think so.
All right, so let's take a look quickly at the Carabao Cup before we actually wrap up this particular one. Tonight is going to be Chelsea against Cardiff. Of course, quarterfinals of the Carabao Cup, the only game that we play today. And of course, Man City and Arsenal will play in the coming days. I mean, Chelsea, where do you, Jerry, where do you see this particular side going? Carabao Cup, Chelsea against Cardiff City tonight.
This looks like one of the trophies that Chelsea can win. So Cardiff is in trouble. They're going to beat Cardiff.
Give us a parting shot.
Yeah, all the best to Chelsea. And for my United fans who are celebrating being on top of Liverpool, like you and Maiwa, who have been deceptive. Still giving my United fans
I'm putting on blue, Jerry.
I wish you all the best in that one. So, yeah, a lot of games to look forward to the Carabao Cup. So, Chelsea for the win as far as this one is concerned.
Maiwa, tonight, Cardiff Stadium. Who do you see going through to the semi-finals? Chelsea, Cardiff.
Well, I think Chelsea takes it. They have enough quality to be able to dispatch Cardiff. And I hope Enzo Maresca will not feel the team B. So I think he has an opportunity to do that. And he'll probably want to, get to the semi-finals and probably want to win the title.
Maiwa, I also heard your Finidi is also interested in Chelsea.
Maiwa, give us a parting shot. Leave Jerry alone.
Interested in being the Chelsea coach.
Maiwa, give us a parting shot. Leave Jerry alone.
I think he should consider Man U better.
The Yorubas will say, "Bafo guy."
Oga Nibo.
16 December, Manchester United is ahead of Liverpool.
Well, guys, this is exactly where we'll be drawing the curtains on today's episode of Locker Room. I mean, you've heard it from the guys. Definitely will be coming back tomorrow if anything comes up as regards Super Eagles' chance of going to the World Cup. And of course, the result of the game to be played tonight, Nigeria against Egypt, and the Chelsea-Cardiff game. Also, all we're bringing you tomorrow's episode of the Locker Room. At this point, definitely I'll be saying, do not go anywhere. Stick around because the next show is definitely going to be Chukwuma Okoro stepping into the ring. Of course, it's going to be taking us through the world of politics with his lens. And it is Political Lens with Chukwuma Okoro. I am Ikechukwu Agwago. Stay tuned.
In a world where truth is the ultimate power and opinions scream the loudest, it's time to wade through the noise.
Hunger no get drum! Hunger no get religion!
And scan the human interest and trending topics that matter. Stay tuned to The Issues, your plug to the stories making the buzz, from politics to science and technology, social justice, and more. Let's tackle the tough questions and expose the truth. The Issues on Voice of the People Television, Mondays to Fridays, 8 to 9 p.m. The Issues. Don't just react. Understand.
This is African News on Voice of the People Television, where we don't just bring you the news, we bring you Africa's heartbeats, the policies that shapes our world, and the economy that determines our future.